88. Minos and his brothers. When Zeus left Europe and having fathered Minos, Ramahamamathias, and Sarpedon on her in Crete, she married Asterius, the reigning king whose father Techamus, son of Doris, had brought a mixed colony of Aeolian and Pelaglaecian settlers to the island and there married a daughter of Crethus and Aeolian. B. The marriage providing childless Asterius adopted Minos, Rhamamenes, and Sarpedon and made them his heirs. But when the brothers grew to manhood, they quarreled for the love of a beautiful boy named Miletus, begotten by Apollo on the nymph Aria, whom some called Daon and others Thea. Miletus, having decided that he liked Sarpedon best, was driven from Crete by Minos and sailed with a large fleet to Caira in Asia Minor, where he founded the city and kingdom of Miletus. For the previous 2 generations, this country, when called Anactoria, had been ruled by the great Anax, a son of Uranus and Mother Earth, and by his equally gigantic son Asterius. The skeletons of Asterius, whom Miletus killed and afterwards buried on an island lying off Lade, had lately been disinterred. It is at least 10 cubits long. Some, however, say that Minos suspected Miletus of plotting to overthrow him and seize the kingdom, but that he feared Apollo and therefore refrained from doing more than warn Miletus, who fled to Caira of his own accord. Others say that the boy who occasioned the quarrel was not Miletus, but one Atamenus, a son of Zeus and Cassiopeia, or of Phoenix. C. After Asterius' death, Minos claimed the Cretan throne and, in proof of his right to reign, boasted that the gods would answer whatever prayer he offered them. First dedicating an altar to Poseidon and making all preparations for a sacrifice, he then prayed that a bull might emerge from the sea. At once a dazzlingly white bull swam ashore, but Minos was so struck by its beauty that he sent it to join his own herds and slaughtered another instead. Minos' claim to the throne was accepted by every Cretan except Sarpedon, who, still grieving for Miletus, declared that it had been Asterius' intention to divide the kingdom equally between his 3 heirs, and indeed Minos himself had already divided the island into 3 parts and chosen a capital for each. D. Expelled from Crete by Minos, Sarpedon fled to Cilicia in Asia Minor, where he allied himself with Scylax against the Mylians and conquered them and became their king. Zeus granted him the privilege of living for 3 generations, and when he finally died, the Malian kingdom was called Lycia, after his successor Lysis, who had taken refuge with him upon being banished from Athens by Aegeus. E. Meanwhile, Minos had married Pasiphae, a daughter of Helios, and the nymph Crete, otherwise known as Persis. But Poseidon, to avenge the affront offered him by Minos, made Pasiphae fall in love with the white bull which had been withheld from sacrifice. She confided her unnatural passion to Daedalus, the famous Athenian craftsman who now lived in exile at Knossos, delighting Minos and his family with the animated wooden dolls he carved for them. Daedalus promised to help her and built a hollow wooden cow, which he upholstered with a cow's hide set on wheels concealed in its hooves, and pushed into the meadow near Gortys, where Poseidon's bull was grazing under the oaks among Minos' cows. Then, having shown Pasiphae how to open the folding doors in the cow's back and slipped inside with her legs thrust down into the hindquarters, he discreetly retired. Soon the white bull ambled up and mounted the cow, so that Pasiphae had all her desire, and later gave birth to the Minotaur, a monster with a bull's head and a human's body. F. But some say that Minos, having annually sacrificed to Poseidon the best bull in his possession, withheld his gift 1 year and sacrificed merely the next best, hence Poseidon's wrath. Others say that it was Zeus whom he offended. Others again that Pasiphae had failed for several years to propitiate Aphrodite, who now punished her with this monstrous lust. Afterwards, the bull grew savage and devastated the whole of Crete until Hercules captured and brought it to Greece, where it was eventually killed by Theseus. G. Minos consulted an oracle to know how he might best avoid scandal and conceal Pasiphae's disgrace. The response was, instruct Daedalus to build you a retreat at Knossos. This Daedalus did, and Minos spent the remainder of his life in an inextricable maze called the Labyrinth, at the very heart of which he concealed Pasiphae and the Minotaur. H. Oh no. All right, let's try to say this. Rhadamanthus, wiser than Sarpedon, remained in Crete. He lived at peace with Minos and was awarded a third part of Asteris's dump. Damn. I got so proud of myself for saying that. I don't even know if it's right, but it sounded right. Rhadamanthus, nope. Rhadamanthus, wiser than Sarpedon, remained in Crete. He lived at peace with Minos and was awarded a third part of Asteris's dominions. Renowned as a just and upright lawgiver, inexorable in his punishment of evildoers, he legislated both for the Cretans and for the islanders of Asia Minor, many of whom voluntarily adopted his judicial code. Every 9th year, he would visit Zeus's cave and bring back a new set of laws, a custom afterwards followed by his brother Minos. But some deny that Rhadamanthus was Minos' brother and called him a son of Hephaestus, as others deny that Minos was Zeus' son, making him the son of Lycastus and the nymph of Ida. He bequeathed land in Crete to his son Gortys, after whom the Cretan city is named, although the Tegeans insist that Gortys was an Arcadian, the son of Tagates. Rhadamanthus also bequeathed land in Asia Minor to his son Eurystheus, and the island of Chios to Onopenepion, the son of Aridine, whom Dionysius first taught how to make wine, and Lemnos to Thaus, another of Aridine's son, and Cronos to Inus, and Peperothos to Staphylos, and Maronia to Eunthes, and Paros to Alcaeus, and Delos to Aeneas, and Andros to Andrus. I. Rhadamanthus evidently. No, let me start over. 1, 2, 3. Rhadamanthus eventually fled to Boeotia because he had killed a kinsman and lived there in exile at Achalae, where he married Alamen, Hercules' mother, after the death of Amphitryon. His tomb and that of Alcmene are shown at Haleratus, close to the plantation of the tough canes brought from Crete, from which javelins and flutes are cut. But some say that Alcmene was married to Rhadamanthus in the Elysian fields after her death, for Zeus had appointed him one of the 3 judges of the dead. His colleagues were Minos and Acus, and he resided in the Elysian fields. That's it. We're